What is up, guys? So today I have decided I would invade my brother's airspace while he is absent because A, he has better lighting, and B, he has a desk, whereas in my room, I don't. And today I wanted to do something a little different, which was catch up with the comment section. And, by me saying that I'll do something different, it's not necessarily innovative, but I just feel bad that I have this massive backlog of comments that people have been leaving me, and I have not been able to get back to them like I normally do. So then I said, well, let me throw it in a video, and that way I can reply lengthy and also cover more ground and more people this way, and we also get to hang out a little more. And I will also make sure that I look at my Hilt for review because I don't know why YouTube loves to flag a lot of comments and I never see them. And I feel terrible because I have missed out on some gems over the years that I'm like, man, this comment was amazing, and why did YouTube just not show me? So, yeah, I guess I'll start by quickly glancing at my held for review. And yeah, there are a ton of comments in here I've never seen before. Yep, never seen that before. And I kept wondering, why is it that no one is leaving me comments in my videos anymore? Do y'all not like me anymore? But yeah, I guess YouTube just doesn't like it when maybe the same people comment. I'm not sure. I cannot tell anybody what is going on. But anyway, I will get back to those momentarily. All right, let's see. On my Popeyes chicken video from yesterday, I noticed some comments that were not posted yet. They were under held for review. And the top person is JJ Binks, and he says, I am breaking my healthy diet just today. In the UK, KFC are doing 9 pieces chicken for £5.99, £5 and 99 pence. Yummy, cannot wait. A lot of people in the UK have been mentioning KFC to me. I would imagine the version that you guys have is much more superior to ours just because you have better quality standards. And one of the things that would inspire me to travel, you guys know that I'm not a traveler. I've said that many times in the channel before. But one of the things I would do is go to Europe just to eat. Like, I dream of going to Italy just to eat because I imagine that even food from, let's call it, cheap places would still be good somehow. But maybe I'm exaggerating in my mind what the experience would be, since you always get fascinated by foreign things. You just feel like they cannot do any wrong or something. But I'm not sure. As an American, unfortunately, I tend to be pretty ignorant about what other cultures are doing, especially beyond Europe. That's all we ever learn about in school: European history, European everything. And I'm like, if you're going to teach me world history, there are so many more continents to this planet beyond Europe. And I never learned anything about China. I never learned anything about Japan except that we bombed them. And I never learned anything about India. And the stuff that I have learned about India was because someone linked me to it. And I was like, oh, why does no one talk about the stuff that happened to those people as well? I know nothing about the Oceania region, and I'm surprised that we never go over Australia either. I'm telling you, world history, I'm so detached from it. And in a sense, now that I'm older and have time about making decisions of what to learn, I don't know why I don't try to research that more. But at the same time, with my time, I need to be wise now, since I am trying to take care of a lot of things to make sure that I improve the prospects for my future. So I don't want people to ever think that I do not care to learn about other cultures. It's just that even with the channel, as easy as maintaining the channel is to me, because I don't put any time or effort into the production, or I don't edit nothing special about what goes on in this channel. I cannot handle it much these days. So imagine if I did that, and on top of that, I am trying to research about other cultures. I would never make money on the side. I would never be able to like manage my businesses and stuff like that. So I really would like to learn more about what other countries are up to beyond what the media tells me when they trend, but it's just difficult to find the time when I have to do a lot of reading as it is to maintain my jobs on the side afloat. And Ardent Defender says, "You're looking good today. You can say now you have been there and done that. One less trend to go." Yeah, definitely. I'm not really someone who gets guided by trends. The Popeye stuff, I'm honestly doing because I have heard of Popeye so much. And for a while, I was living in a city that didn't have it. And also, I've seen it in other cities, but I never felt drawn to it. I'm not sure why. I feel like usually when I avoid something, it goes one of two ways. It's either I avoid it and I am grateful that I avoided it, for it had been something massively overrated, or I end up regretting that I have been missing out on it. And just like my experiences going to the grocery store, I discover an amazing product, they immediately discontinue it. And then I feel so much pain in this little heart right here when that happens. All right, so we have Joe, I guess, commenting on my World Without Men video. And this is quite a lengthy reply, so sit tight for me. What amazes me as well is that this woman is from a minority background, yet she still upholds men, most likely white men, and appreciates all their works for bettering their living conditions, the living conditions of women. Usually when women from other backgrounds come to a country built by a white man, they usually start to adapt to the third wave feminism and see the white man as her biggest oppressor and enemy, even though the white man has welcomed her to an amazing Western country to enjoy great living standard and freedom, even when they owe nothing to anyone, especially these foreigners, actually quite the opposite. Whoa, this person is clearly a newcomer to the channel. So first of all, I'm not sure what he means by me being from a minority background. When I was born and raised in the USA, and so was my family, I only had, in recent generations, I guess the most foreign that my family ever got was my father's father. But after that, everyone else is like fifth, fourth, sixth generation American, pretty much like everybody else ever in this country. But anyway, and what I have to say to this is the whole point of my World Without Men video was one day I lost my power and I just looked out the window and I saw the guys working on their stuff to make sure that my stuff gets fixed. And I just told myself, there's so much negativity going on in this planet about, men's role. And nowadays, I'm glad that we're beginning to talk about the aspects of female roles that are also messed up. Like how easily women get away with crimes with just a slap to the wrist. And I'm thinking, if there were laws established, where is there a document that says that if I commit the same crime as a man, I get to experience a lighter sentence? Like, take, for example, the cases of female substitute teachers. This always, just jumps out at me. When they are accused of being in relationships with their underage students. If the roles were inverted, if it were a male teacher getting involved with a female student, do you think the guy would be let off easily? Normally, these women, the cases that I have stumbled upon, I'm not saying that all of them happen this way, and we also got to keep in mind that states have their reserved powers, but they tend to get away with very light sentences, maybe 2 years in prison, and then you just need to spend a decade on the offenders registry and whatnot. And I'm saying, why is it that a man gets held to a more severe standard? Why should I believe in equality as severely as we're trying to pretend that this thing works when it doesn't work, you know? So I'm like, until you, I guess, define the severity of each action and what people can expect, then maybe stuff will get better. But anyway, it's a mess, and I prefer to be the kind of person who's like, okay, if the law is that complicated, how about if I don't commit any crimes, and that way I don't have anything to worry about? Life is simple if you let it be. But for anybody who comes from another country to a new country, of course, let's say to the USA, foreigners who come here, my opinion is this, is very simple. You are the one who is coming here. Therefore, you need to be the one who adapts to the law of the land that you are attempting to settle in. It's not that the land has to get used to you. I find that very like egocentric, really crazy, insane. If I were moving to another country, I am pretty sure that they are going to hold me up to that standard. And I would not object to that because it is I who is entering another territory that doesn't belong to me, an established territory. Why would I want to alter the politics that govern that land? And clearly it has worked for that land, and the people in that land are happy with the way things are. Otherwise, they would be carrying out their revolutions. So it's very simple. If you come here, you're welcome to come here. I'm pretty sure everyone everywhere says the same thing. You are welcome to come here. But the only time it becomes an issue is when you get involved politically, but in an incorrect and unfair way. I am not going to defend the United States everywhere that I go. Simple. We have our evil past as well. So I cannot sit here and act like I can be a righteous representative when I know that we have done a lot of damage to other nations, the more vulnerable nations. And sometimes we have been nothing but a bully. And I think that that is something that needs to be talked about, acknowledged, and most preferably avoided from happening again. But when it comes to the modern day female, especially in Western countries, what I find is that we have become incredibly spoiled. As good as it is that we are able to join the workforce, for example, it's not looked down as bad as back in the day, when back in the day the whole joke was while you're young, you find yourself a husband, and then this husband can take care of you with just his sole income, no matter what he does for a career. Well, now that stuff has changed, and I find it that I guess the fumes are getting to like the top of women's heads, some women's heads, to the point that they feel that just because they have a little bit more power, a little bit more involvement, and I guess respect and representation in politics, they feel like they can conquer the world. And I'm thinking, no, I don't think that men necessarily conquer the world. I think they like to change the landscape a bit to keep us dominant. But I don't look at it as conquest necessarily. Maybe it was true at some point, and maybe some of the more like, let's call them sociopathic people in like positions of power, they may be like that. But for me personally, I look at the man as this is the builder, and I am the person who makes sure that the future generation gets taken care of. I bear the kids, I watch the kids, I raise the kids, I educate the kids. But at the end of the day, the kids have their own individuality and their powers, and they are the ones who eventually are going to be the men and women of the future. And if I don't do my job well at upbringing them and giving them the tools to keep building and keep life going in the future, then I feel like I'm failing at my role in this society. And I find that a lot of women are kind of forgetting that, because I hear more and more and see more and more stories of women who are not there for the kids, and then the kids end up doing messed up things, acting messed up. They're the next mental health patients. And I'm thinking to myself, what is going on? Where are we failing? Where is stuff going wrong? And it all starts at home. Most of the time, it starts at home. So, so yeah, I feel like men are not oppressive, especially in the Western world. Like, if anything, I feel like men do everything that they do to cater to the women, to make themselves interesting, more interesting for the women. Because we as humans, we are like little creatures who are always thinking about reproduction, because that's just what living beings do. We want to pass on our genes. But I find that with politics now, and in this world of media, everyone is trying to be woke to their own extent. And I think that wokeness is cool, but at some point you need to realize that sometimes you take yourself away from reality. And I find that some of these people who we see online are out of touch with reality. Just like celebrities tend to be out of touch with reality. And I think that's odd, because they are in positions of power and they should have access to better sources of information than we, as the average person and general public, does. But anyway, that's beside the point. But yeah, I honestly cannot associate that, like the whole men are the problem thing, because I know that women contribute to the issues. And sometimes people refuse to accept that the moment that the woman was allowed to work and even be the primary breadwinner in certain homes, it's not that it is wrong for women to have that kind of power. I'm just saying that some women mentally do not know how to handle that. It's like, oh, I make the most money, I'm the primary breadwinner. The psychology behind you being the primary breadwinner is different. Whereas for a man, they tend to be the providers naturally. And then a woman provider is not me objecting to it. I just think that female providers are detaching themselves from the role that they're supposed to be fulfilling, which is the more nurturing one. I don't think that someone as a provider, if that's what you do full time, that conflicts with what you're naturally supposed to be inclined to do. And it's very difficult to balance, very difficult to manage. So, in a sense, the homes that get broken because the man is always away being the provider, well, guess what? The man is built for that. Physically, emotionally, mentally. I cannot work to the same degree and intensity that a man can. And I am okay with that. I can accept that. I don't look at it as me being weak. And that's the problem with the modern day feminist, that they feel like we are associating them with being weak, and then they try to take on all this extra stuff, challenge themselves in ways that they shouldn't, because they just cannot make it happen, and somehow we're supposed to celebrate them for that. No, just calm down, let things work as they have traditionally worked, and maybe you will stop dying younger and you will stop getting sick younger. And all this stuff that we're all experiencing now that women used to not have to deal with in the past. But anyway, that concludes my rambling when it comes to that comment. So, trying the Popeyes chicken tenders from yesterday, someone said, "You look so pretty with your hair down." And I appreciate the compliment. I still feel bald after I cut like 3-4 inches from my hair. It's not a whole lot, but in curly hair terms, that mess is a lot. Oh man. Let's see. Zamri cooking, super sexy and wifey. You will make some man very happy someday. Well, I hope that I get to make some man very happy someday, because I feel like in my relationships I am so underrated. But at the end of the day, now I have shifted my focus to where I just want to focus on me building myself to eventually live and move on to live a better life. And that way, I don't have to be thinking about looking forward to a guy or something, because it's possible that that may not come. I used to think that it was obligatory that in life you have to end up paired up with someone in order to feel fulfilled. And it does help because, like I said a moment ago, we are thinking a lot about passing on our genes. We want to have a family, we want to be loved, taken care of, accompanied, etc. But at the same time, you cannot center your life around that because there is so much to do in this planet that doesn't involve that stuff. Just like careers. I ultimately used to think that teaching was what I was made to do. And I still believe that is what I'm meant to do. But I have given myself the opportunity to not centralize my purpose in life on that. I said, what if I can enjoy something else that's not teaching? And eventually I said to myself, ooh, I want to be a judge. Shit, I'll be a policewoman. Or I'll be a flight attendant. Those were the primary three careers that I used to mention I wanted to perform when I was younger. And then I said, fuck it, I want to be a commentator. That's what I really want to be. A commentator or a storyteller, because I can sit and talk endlessly about many things. I'm not perfect at everything. I don't know everything. I definitely feel like I know less about things in general than I should. But just because I feel that way doesn't mean I'm not confident to go around living my life. That's the difference. But yeah, opportunities are always open, and there are people who feel like they were born to just do one thing, and if you don't fulfill that thing, you just quit at life. You cannot do that. Just you cannot do that. And in my family, I know people who are like that. It's like, no, I want to be a chef. I want to be a renowned world-class chef. That's what I have to be. If I'm not a chef, then I don't want to do anything else with my life. Like, why? Why do you think that way? But anyway. Garuda had said 5 days ago, nice recipe. I am definitely trying this. I hope that you get around to trying it, because I am very confident that the way I fix my breakfast is pretty suitable for everybody. Of course, not everyone is going to like it, but I think that it's just a way to try something that maybe you hadn't tried before. I find that the blend of spices that you use can make or break certain recipes. And I have been discovering that eggs are incredibly versatile. And I'm just trying to reintegrate them into my life as well, because apparently they're also supposed to be very nutritious. And I find that I was my fittest when I used to have hearty breakfasts like that. And little by little, I'm trying to like regain control of my life before I got this crazy schedule. And I still have a long way to go, but I'm confident. Let's see. David, a week ago in my World Without Men video, said, thank you for being a real woman. Men built this world. However, we built it for both of us. We die in wars, lose in courts. And for those who are going to leave bad comments, screw them. This is why. You are the reason we will all win. Me too, Nazi femmes are hurting real women. Change nothing of yourself. I see nothing. I see greatness. Thanks and take care. Well, that was a very kind comment. I enjoy when I see comments like that. Comments that, what can I say? They maybe reiterate what I'm saying, or maybe say something that I haven't said at all, but at the same time, hey, if I didn't say it, you said it, that's cool. And also the ones that end with a compliment. I don't feel like I need to be receiving compliments like that from strangers. I'm not insecure, but sometimes when I have a differing opinion from someone, I end it on a lighter note, the best that I can. And what better way to end it than by complimenting someone? This happened to be someone who complimented me because they happened to maybe add to what I was saying and just contribute to the value or something. But even if this were someone saying, hey, I disagree, or, whatever, something opposing, then at least try to end it on a lighter note. Because I have received comments that maybe they start with compliments, but then they say something negative, and then they say why they disagree, but they do not elaborate on their disagreement. And those are what I call the fucking trolls. Because if you were really serious about having a discussion and you're confident about yourself, you would contribute more to the cause as opposed to just being a bully. And poor me, I was like so young and innocent and weak. But when I first started recording, I didn't think that people would really find me because I was using this as my journal replacement. And then this freaking World Without Men video somehow just took off. And I'm thinking, why the hell am I getting all of these comments? I am not trying to say that this is an anti-women video. I have been called a misogynist because of that video. And I'm thinking, motherfucker, did you listen to anything that I said? All I am trying to do is celebrate men's contributions to the infrastructure. And I want to say it in this medium because I am surrounded by, let's say, I know of women who I interact with day to day that if they were to hear me applauding the contributions of men, they are very heavily like girl power inclined. And I do not need to be exposing myself to a situation that could possibly escalate because these women just think so highly of themselves, yet they are not the ones doing the tough work. See what I mean? So I honestly did that for my comfort. It was part of my journal. I'm like, hey, today I lost power, and there are these people out there working on these extremely difficult conditions, dangerous job. And, I know of someone who, well, my mother knew this person, and then I eventually met this person, but this person lost his fingers while working for the electric company. So, like, that type of thing impacts me. And I'm saying, where are all the women? Like saying, oh yeah, I got injured on the job. Very dangerous job. Because I want to make sure that people can enjoy having power. I'm not saying that women never have, what is it? They never get injured on the job. They get injured on the job more often if they are working in a more demanding industry, physically demanding industry. But I'm just saying, why is it a bad thing to celebrate the accomplishments of someone who's not on your side of the gender? Like, why does it matter? Why do you need to turn it into a discussion of how one gender is more vile than another? We are different, and you need to understand and accept that. But I feel like most people just don't, and they want to create this image that we don't have. Because women do terrible things, but we don't talk about it as often. Because, I don't know, everything is trying to cater to the woman. And I'm just saying that I don't let that stuff influence me and get to my head. Oh yeah, there was this guy that I said I would get back to. And it's pretty lengthy, and I just want to get to him individually, so I'm gonna skip that one. But basically, he was commenting on my living without a family video, and he was saying that he feels grateful that I posted that video because he felt like he had a medium now to express himself. And then he was sharing a story with me about how he was fighting for his children, and in the end the court favored the woman, and apparently his wife is very crazy, and I feel inclined to believe him, because it's not strange for me at all to hear of these stories. And also, women tend to have bipolar disorders very often. And I'm not even trying to say that to be mean. I swear, like, I personally know of people who have been diagnosed with that. And I'm thinking, where does that happen? How does that happen? I know that it's a condition in the brain. But is that something that develops as a result of your aging? Is it a, what can I say, a malformation in the brain after a certain period of time that just happens? Or is it that the stress that you are exposed to is more than you can handle, and then your brain starts breaking down physically to the point that it leads to this? Is this something that you are born with and you cannot escape it? Like, what is up with our moods? I know we have our hormones, but when I have my issues, I don't act crazy. In fact, I was telling a friend the other day that I find it that I turn into the nicest, sweetest, kindest, softly spoken person when I get sick. And it's because I'm miserable, I'm having a tough time, but I wouldn't want for this to be happening to you. I wouldn't want for you to go through the stuff that I'm going through. So why on God's green earth would I want to be a fucking bitch about it if it's not your fault and it's not your problem, it's not your issue? Why would I excuse it with, you need to be able to take me in a bad mood because my tragedy is worse than yours, so therefore you have to be able to take it? If any woman out there gets abandoned because of how crazy she acts, because of her moods, you deserve it. Shoot, if someone were to do that to me, I'm like, you know what? I don't get it at the moment, but I know that at some point this is going to marinate in my brain, and I am going to look back at the incidents and I'll agree that I deserved to be abandoned. And that's what happened in some of my past relationships. I'm thinking, although I was the one to end them, when I think about the way I was behaving and why I wasn't making any of my boyfriends happy, I'm like, I deserve to feel tormented by the fact that I was a bitch and I never made any of these guys happy. And even though I ended the relationship and it looks like I am the victim of, I don't know, being unhappy and dissatisfied or whatever, at the end of the day, they are victims. More victims than I can ever claim, because I will never forget how I was growing up. But when I think about it now, I try to be kinder to myself because back then I was going through some things that I did not have any guidance or coaching in. I was dealing with it by myself, and I felt like I did not have any resources to recur to rectify some of my issues. It's really difficult to talk about certain things, especially someone as timid, as reserved as myself. I cannot just go up to anybody, just anybody, and reach out for help. It takes me the longest time to open up to someone. And the only way I end up doing that is if somehow you inspire trust in me. Some people strike me like that at first sight, but some other people, we may know each other for years, and there's still stuff that I won't tell you about. There's this person called Jackie Fenner, and 2 weeks ago she commented on my Life Without a Family video, and she says, I feel the same way. It sucks that all of my family is far away, and so is my granddaughter. I would have to get a job by one of them, but the closest one is 4 hours away. It just sucks. And my guy friend is no solace. I hope you are okay, sweetie. I am so glad that I recorded that Living Without a Family video because, once again, I recorded that, and to be sincere, I don't really remember much of what I said in the video. This was an earlier video, like 2016, if I'm right. And I just remember that this particularly day, I was like in a really dark spot emotionally. The same struggles I have always had. Like, I'm lonely, I'm sad, I'm by myself, I cannot deal with this. I just want to find someone to do things with. I want to feel loved, yada yada. And then I said, I'm gonna whip out my camera and I'm just going to start talking. And then I felt like I was finally letting it all out. I guess this is the feeling that going to therapy should do for you, which is you're letting go of shit. You're like freeing yourself from things. And for me, once again, just like I said about me being timid and not sharing with anybody, first of all, I do not want to spend money or put my family through spending money on therapy because that mess is expensive. And sometimes the best therapy comes from people who are not professionals. And I feel like going to a professional to talk about your problems is so disingenuous because this is someone who is getting paid for that mess. What guarantees me that this person is there for the love of the art, for the love of the profession, and that not, well, I gotta do my, I don't know, therapeutical hours, so I'm just gonna make them up. My 8 until 4, this is what I do, and I will make sure to make this person believe that I'm gonna help them or that I have their best interest in mind. I expect for everybody to have integrity, but unfortunately, this is a world full of deception, and I do not need to be involving people into my matters who will probably not serve me in the manner that I need them to, especially at a cost efficient way. So I told to myself, these are my issues. How can I resolve them? How can I make them not feel as bad? And then I just started exploring. But the key is that you need to be incredibly patient and kind to yourself. Most of us are impatient little creatures. We want to see results immediately before we feel like what we're doing is a waste of time. We get discouraged. It is important that if you strongly believe that you truly want for things to get better for you need to be willing to accept that this is a trial and error process. Sometimes you will have good results, sometimes you will get no results, sometimes you will get bad results. You have to accept that and carry on. And that is the issue that exists in my family. My family tends to be full of people who are really one track minds. And if something doesn't go the way that they want and expect immediately without allowing for time to pass for things to just process naturally like they need to, they lose their fucking minds. And I'm thinking the way that you were brought up was probably very heavily spoiled and you did not develop patience. That's why they say that patience is a virtue. The people who say that patience is a virtue are not talking out of their ass. They are pretty wise people. And I'm not saying that I am perfect at dominating the patience department because sometimes I'm like, really, I have to go through so many hoops to get this little thing achieved. But when I look at it, the more I have to take extra steps at fulfilling something simple, the more that I build myself up to be able to deal with those delays. Things that I consider delays. Delays do not have to mean that your progress is being hindered. And I feel like most people like to associate it that way. If you're doing everything that you can to deal with your issues, just trust yourself. Stick to it. Whatever you do, stick to it and don't give up. Let's see. Someone on that same video says, here's the best plan. Save as much money as you can. Money buys you options. Well, on the note of money, this is a video that I have been thinking about doing on the side, but I'm not sure. I'm thinking about canceling it because I have discussed it over the years. But I know that money is great. Money is a resource. Money is power. Money buys you solutions. It shouldn't have to be that way. You shouldn't have to depend on having money to live a full life. And buying me options, what does that mean to you? Because to me, I use money as a tool, which is what everybody uses it for. But some of us use the tool in ways that we abuse it, not necessarily for the better or not necessarily for the betterment of our lives. And for me, money becomes something to spoil myself with when I feel like I gotta reward myself for everything that I have done. Like the other day, I made a purchase that I'm like, I don't need to purchase this, especially if I have many of the same thing. But I feel like I have worked hard, I earned it. This is one of my hobbies. I might as well go for it. And immediately I started feeling guilty about it. I'm like, I shouldn't be spending on this because I got goals to fulfill. I have things that are incredibly important for me to get to short term, and therefore I need to hold on to this money. But then I remind myself, what if I don't make it? Anything can happen. Am I going to deprive myself of some of the things in life that I find pleasurable just because I need to stick to this discipline that is a bet? I'm not sure that anything that I am doing in my present is going to give me results to have the kind of future that I want for myself. I'm taking a big chance right now. But that chance that I'm taking is what makes me peaceful and happy and satisfied with myself. Whereas if I live a reckless life because I don't know if I'm going to make it, then there are consequences associated with that. And once the consequences begin to strike you, I cannot feel sympathetic for you at that time because this is something that you should have thought about. And you decided to live the life of I am untouchable, I am indestructible, I'm going to be reckless. No, you need to understand that every decision that you make will have consequences. And people know this, but most of the time you're not thinking about it actively. I always think about it. Every time I do something out of the norm, I'm thinking, what are the consequences of this? Because there will be consequences. And I tell myself if I feel like I can handle the possible consequences, it's okay to do so. But if I am completely vulnerable, it's not wise to do so. And that happens a lot. Most of the time, I don't take my chances because I'm a responsible person or try to be. Let's see. Someone else said, "God, she is beautiful for being truthful." I appreciate the compliment. Let's see. Most of the comments come from the living without a family video and the world without men video. Let's see. This person is called Mad Vulcan, and he says, "I'll one you up. Imagine a such a wonderful, sorry, imagining." Okay, this person wrote imaging a such a world, and that's why I'm confused. I can read. You just cannot write. Nah, just playing. Imagine such a world, but the ability to bring men back. How would they raise the first boys in a world without men to teach and guide them? An entire generation of boys meant to become men with the guidance of women who do not, I guess, have the siltiest, slightest idea on how to raise a boy to become a man. Do you think they teach them they are to be subservient to women, brainwash them, tell them they have no rights, they have breeding rights, for they genetically engineer men to be neutered at birth, I guess? It says engineer men that be neuter a birth. So that's why I'm confused. And just dumb muscle men to do the bedding of women with a responsibility like that, would women kind have a profound change in their nature, or will their darker nature grow more worse than before? Definitely, I feel like that's what I was going over a few moments ago. And it comes to you being given power. Most atrocities get committed because there's someone who is either being subservient but in a really messed up way and they want to break free from that, or they are in a position of power, and because you're in a position of power you feel like you're untouchable, and therefore you start doing all this crazy stuff. And that's what I'm saying. We are not accustomed to being in that position. We're not wired to be dealing with being in that position. So I'm thinking, what would happen if that became the rule of the land? The woman will always be at the top. I'm thinking we were not designed to do that. And I'm sure that anyone out there who were to hear this, who were to severely disagree, they would say that they might say something like, oh, you just like to be suppressive or suppressed. You just like to be oppressed. You just like to be dominated, yada, yada. No, not at all. Because at some point, the line of respect gets broken. If there comes a moment when I feel that I'm disrespected, that's when evil Zam comes out. That's what you need to understand. Here on the channel, I'm in a relaxing, peaceful setting. So therefore, the picture of me that you guys will get to see, you don't know the full flesh of what I'm capable of. And that's why if something out of the norm happens, I try to report it so that you guys know exactly what my behavior was and maybe understand why sometimes I say I'm antisocial, I hate people, and still I have to deal with them. And you guys tell me, that's shocking. I cannot imagine you being someone who doesn't like people. I cannot imagine you not being sweet because you're always smiling and you're always looking so happy and this and that. People also tell me that in person. And I'm like, well, yeah, I have to be particularly extra nice to you because I'm getting paid for this. And I cannot be someone working with the public having like a mean dog face or something because that hurts the environment, that hurts the reputation of the company. And also, people around here are really sensitive to stuff like that. And I guess that as humans, that's why you have your senses, like your listening, your vision, all that. You the like the mood that you exhibit affects other people. And for me personally, I constantly walk around with a I don't give a fuck mind unless you mess something up. The other day, I was upset at Chick-fil-A because once again they're doing that bullshit when I order something with cheese and they do not melt the fucking cheese. Like the chicken is hot, the buns or the what is it? The scone part of the biscuit, that little crusty part. I cannot call that buns in a biscuit because it doesn't sound right. But all of that was hot. And then the fucking cheese was straight out of the fridge cold. That upsets me because it is a culinary disaster. So this person was not rude to me. The person who put together was my biscuit was not mean to me directly, but I felt offended that he committed or she committed an atrocity with my biscuit. Like, why doesn't it occur to you that I would want my cheese to be molten? That is when I get upset. Like, that is when Monster Zam comes out. But if you're not doing anything stupid, if you're not getting in my way, I just do not care about your existence. Now, if something happens to you, like say I witness you getting run over by a car, I will immediately go to your aid or just make sure that I can make aid arrive to you. What if I'm the only person who can do it? What if you are the victim of a hit and run? At least I can try to ensure that you survive by calling you an ambulance and staying by your side. But other than that, everybody's existence is like irrelevant to me unless I need something. I cannot be that person who's like lit about everybody. Like, oh my God, isn't that? I'm not the person who goes out of her way to greet people. That's just not the way I am. I am severely introverted and I am happy being that way. All that I'm looking for is for more meaningful, private relationships. Like, say, I want for my relationship with my family to improve, but it is very likely that because my opinions and values and way of conducting myself in life, it differs so much from my family's view, I have to accept that maybe I'll never connect with them to the extent that I would like to. Once you accept that, that's when peace comes to you. And that is why I am fine living today the way that I am living. Now I am trying to develop some kind of family life in a different way with the people who I do have, who are there for me and more compatible with me. That is the difference. And that is why I say, as antisocial as I am, I still get sad when I don't have anybody, because I am looking for more meaningful personal connections, not just random connections, strangers connections, friendly connection, colleague connection. I need more people involved in a more serious manner in my personal life, because in a sense there's some stuff that I still need some mentoring in. And unfortunately, in my social circle, let it be my family, stuff that surrounds me, I tend to be the person who is in the position of power, in the position of knowledge, in the position of experience. I take care of others, but who the fuck takes care of me? That is the problem that I am having. It's not, I don't want it to sound like I am saying that I am superior to the human beings who surround me and form part of my personal life. Not at all. What I am saying is that my matters are mostly taken care of. And I can also be self reliant and be independent. But the stuff that I am self reliant and independent on, some other people who reside near me don't have that taken care of. They're not stable in those situations. And that is when my coaching and my leadership is needed. And I'm thinking, okay, I can take care of you. But what about me? Who takes care of me? It's it has become a one-way street. And that's why I feel frustrated and upset about how my life is going in that aspect socially. That's it. So anytime you hear me, like, I might be contradicting myself, like, well, girl, you say that you're antisocial, so why are you lonely? Why does it hurt you to be lonely? That is why. Because the people who do surround me simply cannot support me in the manner that I need them to feel happy and well emotionally. That's it. My living without a family video, someone called Baby Unicornio says, people who don't have families don't understand how little and small things in life actually mean the world. You talked about things like having a family member do your hair. People who have families don't think about this. You absolutely could go to a hair salon, but that's not the point. Or having an emergency contact. Just like that one guy who said, have money because money buys you resources. It buys you things that are not worthwhile. That's what we mean. So I guess us folks who are fine living with very little when it comes to finances, it's because we know how to satisfy ourselves with the very basic things in life that we need to feel whole. But there's people who have such a huge void internally that they're trying to fill, and they feel like they can achieve that by artificial means. That's where money comes in. Oh, I do not have anybody to cook me a home cooked meal. Well, I'll go to a restaurant. That experience is so detached. There's nothing better than someone knowing exactly how you like something. Or say, there are friends of mine who know exactly if I would approve or disapprove of a pair of leggings. Something as simple as that. They know exactly how much of what material I like on it, what kind of colors I like, what kind of cut I like in my leggings. Do I like them seamless? Do I like the seam in a specific spot? Do I like designs that have panels? Do I like it printed? Do I like it in a solid color? That these people would know everything about me. Whereas if I go to a stylist, I would have to start telling them about what it is that I'm looking for. And they don't know me, but they know their profession, so they could hook me up with good advice, but it cannot compare to someone who knows me well individually going to a place and putting something together, and they come back to me and I'm like, you fucking nailed it. Nailed it. You know me already, you know? But anyway, not the point or having an emergency contact. I don't even have one. I just make one up. As sad as that sounds. I don't have any friends I could use as an emergency contact and certainly no family members. I try and force myself to be happy during the holidays, but I'm just so depressed and lonely. I have even spent holidays with friends and their families, but every time I do, I have to explain why I'm not with my family. Oh my fucking God. I hate that. People always want to know that kind of business. They're always like, oh, why are you by yourself? Why are you eating by yourself? You're staying in town? You're not traveling anywhere? All of those things? Like, or you don't have anybody visiting you? The answer to that is no. Not applicable. And people who have been privileged to have some kind of family connection, they just don't get this. And I guess it's reasonable now that I am beginning to accept that people are just different and stuff that's basic to me is not basic for everybody. But if someone tells you something that you find shocking, I would urge you to try to control the kind of reaction that you have because, in my experience, getting to know thousands of people, people who share data like this with me, I'm like, I used to feel like I was so fucking alone. I used to think that this was only happening to me. My tragedy, my world is absolutely dark. And there is no light bulb or no sunshine that can possibly illuminate it. But then when other people share with me what they're going through and how they're going through it and how they're processing it and how it affects them, and I can relate to that, it's an amazing feeling. And it's not because of that saying, which is true because I know people like that, misery loves company. It doesn't have anything to do with that. It's about feeling like someone understands you. Because even if the entirety of this comment, you have reading comprehension, you know the vocabulary, you know the meaning of every single word in that comment that I just read, but you do not understand what the feeling surrounding this experience that this person is sharing, that these words put together mean, inflicts. You don't get that. You don't know that. You don't feel that. You don't sense that. You do not know how the definition of all those words affect a human being. Once again, you know what the vocabulary means. You know what the words are. But in your mind, the way you process this information is different because you have not gone through it and you have been spoiled by it. Like, say, someone who has support just doesn't know how important that is. You take that for granted until something happens and you lose it. And then you lose your way completely. One of two things happen. Either you were brought up with support and you will be equipped with powerful tools, the tool of confidence, for instance, for the rest of your life, or once that supportive connection leaves you or something happens to them, you fucking collapse. And that is the difference between those of us who have never had that and we are fucking warriors and we still keep going versus the people who have had it all. They have had this fulfillment that we have lacked, but then when they face challenges, we can manage some of those challenges more effectively and efficiently because these people have never had the necessity of fending for themselves. Whereas if you grow up in a under very unstable circumstances, you find ways to ensure your survival. Whereas if you have that extra support to rest on, life gets a whole lot easier. It just does. And we cannot deny that. But I feel like a lot of people once you're in that privileged position, you just forget that. You forget it, and you cannot make that association. And I find that absolutely insane. But now, as I get older, my way of looking at people has definitely changed, because I used to think, you don't get something that's basic that I understand, you must be fucking stupid. But then when I think about it, I'm like, my experiences in life have been way different than this person's. I need to equip myself with patience in this department as well. And sometimes it's hard because you just want people to get it, especially if you're running out of ways of illustrating the same point and the person still doesn't get it. And that's why I say I would be fit to be a teacher, because I feel like there's no way I can exhaust the way that I can present a point to someone for them to possibly get it. But at some point, I would probably stumble upon the challenge of, I don't know what to say to this person to make the point clearer. But anyway, let's see. Jimmy had replied to my Popeyes chicken sandwich comment 3 weeks ago, saying probably best to just stick to Chick-fil-A. You really cannot go wrong there when it comes to chicken sandwiches. And I remember telling him that that's definitely true. Oh yeah, I did comment to it. I would definitely give it another try before I condemn Popeyes forever. I think it might have been a bad day. Yep, and that's what I did yesterday. Yep, so mission accomplished. And then in my World Without Men video, I have someone called Trace commenting, I am a logical but unattractive woman. I have been bullied both by boys and girls at school because I am ugly. They don't appreciate my intelligence. You know what? When I was young, when I was in school, I was not much different from what I am today. The only difference is that as I have gotten a little older, I have become a little more gifted in the looks department, because I actually have to care a little bit about my appearance since I don't get to stay home all day. I have a job to show up to and show my face to the public. And this is a society that's really infested with caring too much about vanity. So I have to play along for 8 hours of my day, right? But when I was younger, I used to absolutely not care about what I looked. And my mother was trying to protect me so much. My mother always tried to dress me nicely, but the way that she would dress me nicely was a more conservative way. And a lot of the girls in the school used to call me lame, stupid, ugly, and my hair also did not do me any favors, because most of the time, especially if you look at the media, the only acceptable hair type seems to be straight hair, or maybe straight dash wavy. Just curly, 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 curly. It tends to be looked down on. It tends to be unacceptable. But now we are becoming a woke culture, so we are trying to make sure that we get respected, we get represented, we get basically comes in all sizes, forms, and shapes, because we had a lot of people killing themselves or struggling mentally, and now we're trying to do away with that mental struggle. But there are some companies that are still, what can I say, led by people from the olden days who still hold on to those values, and therefore change is really slow to come by. But fortunately, we have the power of social mediums that reach a vast amount of the masses, and we are progressing without having to depend on the more traditional media to do it for us. But I used to be that person who I was the fucking top student. I had straight A's. I was always at the top. I always passed my tests. Everybody came to me to copy my homework, and I would say, no, fuck you, fuck off. And I was the person who I preferred to work alone in group projects, because only I was doing the job. Or other people would be like, oh, we got hooked up with the smart one. You know that she's not going to mess this up, so let her do all the work. And we just chill and sit tight. I learned to not allow myself to be abused of from a very young age. And I defined my values very, very earlier on. Vanity is not one of my values. It matters to me how I look, of course, because you want to feel good about yourself. And we cannot deny that there is a certain connection to be had with your body, with your image. But for me, my mental state, spiritual and emotional, the stuff that you cannot touch, see, is the stuff that always mattered to me the most, because I felt like those things are harder to manage, since it's not like a plant. If you see a plant, you're like, let me water it and then I know that it'll survive. This requires an extra level of maintenance. And I said, my physical self is very easy to maintain. Naturally, I have to, obligatory, no matter what. I have to sleep, eat, shower, rest. Once those things get taken care of, physical me is fine. Whereas emotional me requires more attention, more effort to maintain. And that's what makes it tougher. But people tend to value what seems to take care of itself, or should take care of yourself if you're a responsible person. They tend to invest themselves too much into that, and they neglect the other aspects of their persona. There's more to you than just your physical appearance, than just your exterior. Your exterior is important. You need to have a body that functions so that you can carry out the important things in your day. Fantastic. But when it comes to your appearance sends a message. All right. But with my appearance, I always wanted to send the message of, I am not here to try to be a pretty girl. I am here to get work done. And because of that, because I had those values and I was not getting myself involved in that drama, I was bullied a lot as a kid. But fortunately, I was mentally strong. I could have been that girl who started cutting herself, or I could have been that girl who started hurting herself, or like, say, allowing depression to eat me away, and then I would have grown up into an adult who has a bunch of mental issues. But I said to myself, these bitches who are picking on me, who are nothing but straight F students, they're going to be the ones who depend on food stamps. They're going to be the ones who get pregnant and do nothing with their lives because they cannot handle the pressure of being a single mom and having a job and having an education. And they're going to be the ones who beg for attention and celebration when they accomplish something really simple. Why is nobody celebrating the fact that I graduated from high school with a GED or something? Nobody feels compelled to celebrate that because you made terrible decisions that delayed your growth, and you have to suffer the consequences. You just do. Why can you not celebrate the fact that I had enough discipline to take care of myself physically, emotionally, and mentally, and my education, I took it seriously, so I was able to complete school at the time that I was due, and I still don't have kids, so therefore every single dime that I make goes to my pocket. Or, well, it goes to the pocket of the people I am indebted to, but it still goes to my pocket. And I don't have the pressure of, there is this tiny, defenseless human who needs a lot of my attention. Whereas you being needy of my attention for 18 years makes it difficult for me to be able to achieve other things. Like, say, what if I want to be a businesswoman? How would I have time to be going to school, raise a child, have a job, because I still have to eat and life is not free, and also try to build a business? Realistically, you would not be able to unless you have support. Even if you spare yourself from having a kid, that doesn't mean that your life is going to be simple, because I know my life is not simple. I don't have kids. But if I really want to keep it from getting complicated unnecessarily, maybe it would be wise for me to stay away from the whole mom game. But there are some people who are so needy for that celebration. Like, well, I'm a single mom and, life is really difficult, but I'm making it work. Why do you feel the need to be celebrated by the rest of us? We all make decisions with our futures in mind, and you just failed at that miserably. Why would we want to reward your bad decisions with celebration and recognition? I I cannot see it that way. I just cannot. So for this girl who says I am logical but unattractive, I kind of feel sometimes it's difficult for me to have an opinion on that because I was not prepared to grow up and be considered someone who's attractive. Like, I was never the hot chick in anybody's class or anything. And to this day, I'm confident that I am not the hot friend that everyone like has or something. But most people tend to rate me as attractive. And I was not prepared for that kind of attention. And at some point, I was thinking, well, I'm fortunate that I'm going to be that person who's not going to struggle with guys trying to try funny things. But then as I was growing up, people were telling me, you actually got a good appearance to you. And it's good that you keep yourself pretty conserved. But maybe when you get older and step out into the adult world and your appearance is forced to change, you're going to experience something. And it did happen. Um, there were people who were trying to make moves on me that I was not appreciating, advances that I was not appreciating. And I'm like, why is this happening to me? I've never been attractive. Nobody wanted me when I was in school or like in high school or anything. So like me being rated as someone who's hot, why? And then when I got fit 2, 3 years ago, even worse, especially when I decided to launch this channel. And I'm like, I can see why people compliment me and I can see why they find me attractive, but I really don't think I'm all that because since I was very young, I had been training myself to deliberately look ugly because I did not want to have that kind of attention from the guys. But it was not hard for me to try to look ugly when I already thought I was ugly. See what I mean? It's kind of weird. But I was trying to make sure that I was not enhancing any of my features because I wanted to focus on school. I am a person of integrity and I wanted to get my schoolwork done. So I said I will never care about what I wear or how I look until school, which is the most important thing, is taken care of. And I am a straight A student. So then when I got older, it's not that I care or put too much effort into my appearance. It just naturally happens because now I comprehend how I can enhance my features. Like, I used to hate my hair. I used to think if my hair is not straight, I'm unacceptable. I still am of the opinion that I look better with my hair done. But I do not have an inferiority complex because that's not what I opt to do. I do not feel like spending an hour and a half using hot tools to alter my hair for like 3 days and then I have to wash it. And then all of my effort goes away. And my hair ends up losing life because exposing it to heat is very bad for it. No matter how much heat protectant you put on it, it's really bad to expose your hair to heat like that. You're cooking your hair. And I'm thinking, why do I want that for myself? Why do I want to be 30 years old and be bald using extensions and worrying about my appearance? It's just stuff that was never important for me. Because my values differed from the values of these girls, they used to say, you don't wear makeup, you should wear makeup, you might be prettier. And I'm like, bitch, being prettier is not going to help me pass this exam. Do you get it? What did you score on the exam? Oh, a fucking D? Oh, maybe. Maybe that's why I don't spend too much time on this makeup bullshit and getting my hair done bullshit and spending money that isn't mine. Because my mother was definitely not rich to be buying me all those things. Makeup is expensive. Getting your hair done is expensive. Are you gonna pay for it? If you're gonna pay for it, sure, fine. I'll submit myself to that stuff and read my books while my hair is getting done or something. But I was not dependent on my self esteem being boosted like that. My self esteem was high mentally. I was a smart student. I thought that was important. Physically, my self esteem was low, but I felt like that was going to be my curse. I feel like I'm unattractive, so therefore, I need to enhance other aspects of me, making myself intelligent and useful so that I do not condemn myself to a miserable life just because I was not gifted in the looks department. That's how I used to think. But now I'm thinking physical confidence. There is a lot that you can do to boost that. And one of the things I do is I try to stay mostly in shape. I have gained some weight in the past year and I'm still working on it. But I acknowledge that it happened because I started making bad decisions and my time was severely constricted because of a schedule that I do not have a say over. And then I said, it's going to get rough for a while, but I'm still going to be giving it my all. I could probably be in a worse shape right now, but I am not because I had that discipline. So yeah, I pretty much went on a banter there, but I felt like it was important to express that because not everyone gets it. Not everyone gets it. So I'm going to catch up with the comments that are actually arriving on the stream as opposed to continuing my little replies journey. So let me see if, oh, fantastic, the button works. Sometimes it freezes and it doesn't work. Someone called Quaker was laughing earlier. Garuda said hello. Hello, you're probably gone by now, but good to see you. Johnny says hi, Zam. Hello, Johnny. And my AR person says, hi, Zam. Zam, how old are you? My age has been the center of mystery in this channel, and it shall remain so. Just know that I am an adult and I am really close to 30. So now you have to determine, am I over 30 or am I under 30? Or have I surpassed 30 and just haven't told you? Or am I about to be 30? But when? You know? So yeah, just good luck with that. I'm not going to reveal my age until it becomes essential. In-N-Out burgers are great. In-N-Out. I don't think we have those here in the East Coast, right? I don't think we have those here. I have heard about In-N-Out, but I've never been to one. I've never seen one. I feel like those are a California thing. Are they a California thing? Like a West Coast thing? We have way back burgers, and they were not all that. Is way back everywhere? Or is it just like an East Coast thing? But I have never seen an In-N-Out. I have never been far west from the country beyond Kansas or Texas. That's as far west as I've ever been. And then one time I landed at the Chicago O'Hare Airport. And I do not need to go back there again. But I would rather go to Chicago O'Hare than JFK. JFK was a disaster. I do not want to go back to that airport. I am not a Chick-fil-A fan. What? Get out of here. Nah, just kidding. I have stumbled upon a very, very limited number of people who don't feel Chick-fil-A. What I like about Chick-fil-A is their flavor is just something I cannot get anywhere else, but sometimes somehow it just works. I just cannot put it together. I feel like they might cook with pickle juice or something. I know they use peanut oil, but what the heck is that flavor? Some people find Chick-fil-A bland, and I'm like, the motherfuckers who find Chick-fil-A bland are the ones who say that Popeyes is amazing, and I'm that motherfucker who says that I find Popeyes bland and Chick-fil-A amazing. Maybe the way our sense of taste is structured is just polar opposites. But Chick-fil-A buns are also nice. Maybe it's because the butter they pull in it, they don't smother it with butter, but they put just enough on it for it to be good. Whereas there are some places who really like to drown their bun in butter. I feel like, was the Popeyes bun buttery? I think it was. I want to say it was. It was really buttery. And I also like that Chick-fil-A doesn't automatically put mayo in your sandwich. Popeyes does that and it fucking kills me. I hate mayonnaise. It's also unnecessary calories. I don't find mayonnaise grotesque. Like, the taste of it doesn't bother me. I just find it that when it's present in my food, it gives me problems. I guess it doesn't agree with my body. Something like that. And when I skip the mayonnaise, I feel better. So, in a sense, I associate mayonnaise with being negative, not because of its flavor, but because of the consequences it has on my body. And even if I were to use the kinds that are based off avocados or something, say a vegan option, or if I were to use a low fat version, it doesn't work. Like, I just cannot like it, cannot get my mind into it. And then the taste changes as well. So, something that I kind of like in its natural state, now you're altering it to where I cannot stand it. Even if you're trying to make it appealing on a dietary level, you just cannot win. You just cannot win in that situation. You think Chick-fil-A is too dry? I have had experiences with Chick-fil-A being really, really, really dry, but sometimes the moisture level doesn't bother me. Sometimes it's fine. I don't find myself bothered by it. I don't find that chewy. Like, I know what you mean about the dryness, but it doesn't bother me. I I would have issues with Chick-fil-A if their fried degree resembled Popeyes. To me, fried ass chicken is so overrated. I don't like it. But I know a lot of people who say there's a lot of people who don't know how to make wings properly. You need to fry that mug all the way to the core. And I'm like, why do you like super fried chicken? That's insane to me. Just calm down. There's more to life in chicken than having it fried. Like, do you hate chicken that bad? Only a monster can fry chicken like that. Now, I don't have the same opinion about fries. Like, fries being fried are a completely different animal. Go ahead and fry those fucking potatoes. Fry them as hell. But no more fried than golden. If you start turning them brown and really crisp to where they break like crackers, I'm not interested in those fucking fries. But if you leave them golden and then still mashed potatoy in the inside and fluffy, and it's not like you see the bubbles of how fried it got on the surface of the potatoes, then okay, we're fine. But if I start seeing that stupid crisp, I'm not wild about crunchy things like that. Crunchiness to me is really good in salads. I don't abuse croutons, but I like to add seeds and tree nuts to my salads. I need something crunchy. But yeah, Chick-fil-A. I may need to observe it the next time I go because I have had experiences with that dryness, but it's nothing out of this world. And usually dry chicken bothers me to the core. But maybe they make up for that dryness in other ways and it escapes my radar. Like say their bun is really buttery or something. Let's see. 7N NF 7N says, "Where were you born?" I was born in the south of the east coast of the United States. But I don't talk about that because I don't want to reveal my location. So people have been guessing for years where I live, and I'm like, no, you don't need to know where I live. That's irrelevant. What you need to be concerned with is what I say when I get here. But now that you mentioned that, I want to know why we obsess so much. Well, I gotta take myself out. I cannot include myself in this because I don't do this. But a lot of people are super nosy, curious, obsessed. I don't know what the hell proper word suits you in this situation. But that's something that people really go out of their way to ask. Like, I have some colleagues who are perfectly 100% American. But just because they look a little different, a little exotic, as they like to phrase it, they're like, where are you from? Oh, I was born in New York. Where's your family from? And then they say, my mom's from Chicago, my father's from Kansas. Oh, okay. But what's your ethnic group, your lineage? I guess some people may say there's some black, there's some Italian, there's some Greek, there's some Indian, there's some native. Yeah, like how is invading the person's personal info going to improve your life? I have never, ever in my fucking life asked someone where they are from. Never. I have been curious about certain cases, especially if I hear someone speaking French. I'm like, are you a French person from like the France, or are you from like another country, another colony? Or do you have French influence, but you yourself are not French? Or another time, I heard someone speaking Portuguese. I cannot tell the difference between Brazilian Portuguese and Portugal's Portuguese. So sometimes I do get curious about that, but I don't go out of my way to go up to this person and be like, are you Brazilian? Are you from Portugal? Because what if this person simply possesses the language skill and they just speak it, but they're perfectly from around here? They're your compatriots. But the comment section is just flooded with that stupid question. And people usually say, well, you sound so different. So therefore, you must not be from around here. And I'm like, I am from around here, but maybe my education was different. Maybe my upbringing was different. Maybe the influences I had growing up were different. Maybe I have a speech thing going on and therefore I have to alter my speech a little bit. Maybe I think differently. Maybe I deliberately want to sound differently. What does it matter? And honestly, the only reason I don't explore any further more of my roots, I guess, it's because there's nothing to look for. Like, the information has been clear. My family has passed it down. The only thing we have not been able to explore quite in depth has been the black side. And the reasons are very obvious. Most people cannot trace their roots if you have like black heritage. But I have hope that one day we'll find the answer to that question. But unfortunately, record keeping about that was not really strict or important. And some of those documents are just not available for us to access. So there's like no way to truly track that down. And also, if you, as a person who lives in modern days, air travel just changed life for everybody. Now it's possible that people in your family who were born maybe a couple of generations ahead of you, they got older sooner, they left the family before your arrival, they had answers that they took with them, And sometimes you don't even know that these are your family members. For me, I had no idea that I had another brother. And to this day, I still haven't met him. And I'm like, this planet is very small. What's to keep me from having somehow met my brother? And we would have become more than just friends. I'm pretty sure that that story has happened in real life. It must have happened because this planet is very small. I'm telling you. but that, as terrifying as it is, my mother was pretty responsible about it. She kept pressuring my father. At some point, you need to tell her. At some point, you need to tell her. Well, tell them because my brother was also around. At some point, they need to know because anything can happen. Anything can happen. And I think the pressure got to my father to the point that he finally he was like, hey, I think you should know that you have another brother whom you've never met. And I'm like, fantastic. What's his name? Oh, how old is he? Oh, 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 wait, I'm younger than him, but he's younger than my brother? Than my full brother? How did that happen? Mom is not this kid's parent, but you're his parent, and I'm younger, and my brother. What? Like when you're younger and you're getting told that information for the first time, it's fucking shocking. And that's exactly what happened to me. I was like, how does that work? How does that happen? Like, how is it possible? Oh, because cheating is something that happens. Okay. That's all you had to say. Just be like, hey, when I was involved with your mother, I fucked up, literally. And this happened. Had you started it off like that, it would have saved me from so much confusion and embarrassment. But of course, nobody wants to admit that that's what you are and that's what you do. But it was so shocking for me because I'm like, what could have happened if we would have been raised in the same state or just not knowing about each other? What if somehow we could have ended up paired up? That is fucking disturbing. And we don't exactly resemble each other a lot. So that's even tougher to be like, hey, I'm looking at you and you're like my fucking reflection, except that you're a guy and I'm a girl. Funny how life works. And then we would have had to discover, God knows how, that we're related. That's some disturbing shit right there. But yeah, I think it's not a bad thing to be curious, but because that is a personal question, I find that invasive. And my mother always told me to stay out of other people's business. So I find it weird that people just love to ask that question. And sometimes I have met at least two other people who feel like they hate to be asked that because they feel like it's invading personal their personal information. And I'm thinking, yeah, I'm right there with you. I would feel the same way. Like, I don't need to be going everywhere and explain myself, explain my existence, explain where I'm coming from. You know? So, I felt pretty sympathetic with this person because it was like, did you see this guy? This was someone who I work with. Did you see this? Sorry, it wasn't a guy, it was a lady. This lady, she kept asking me where I'm from and why I'm here and why I love it here and why I haven't moved that back and why instead I have settled here. Do you think that I prefer to be away from my homeland and my language and my people and this and that? I had to move because I needed an opportunity, etc., etc. Why do I have to go around explaining that? And then I said to my colleague, I said, you know what you could do? Turn that shit into a game. Today, someone asked you, where are you from? Answer the question, just to be polite. But don't say where you are from. I'm not going to ask you where you are from at all, unless you really feel compelled to share with me. But I don't need to know unless you want me to know. But today, you can say that you are from your actual country of origin. But then tomorrow, if someone else asks you, you can say, I am British. Then the next person, you say, I am Venezuelan. The next person, you can say, I am Samoan. The next person, you can say, I am from Mozambique. Just every day, come up with a new country. But to make it even more interesting, try to memorize the name of a town that is not the capital. Because if you try to pretend that you're from a country you're not actually from, you might be like, oh, I'm from Italy. Oh, cool. What part of Italy? Rome. It sounds suspicious, but try to not say any of the fancier cities either. It is more likely that people who come from the capital, people who are born in the capital or in major cities, will have the money and resources to go to a foreign country, and therefore most people who are foreigners may be from the capital. But just to make your case more believable as someone who's working on an entry level position, just pick a very exotic, middle of nowhere place. Learn the name of a city. Memorize some details about it. Like, this is by the West Coast. The climate over here is very, I don't know, temperate. Or stuff like that. Just little details that probably a local would be able to answer. And that way you can stop telling people your personal business and also turn it into a game while educating yourself about countries that you otherwise wouldn't know jack shit about. At some point, I did that myself. I was getting that question so much, I started bullshitting my way through success. And I would try to really step up my, I guess, my speech game and try to really kill the accent or something. And I had so much fun with that because I kept getting a lot of things. The things that I have gotten in my life, you will not believe. Some people were definitely just trolling or trying to fuck around. But in person, these have been people's guesses. Brazil, Egypt, India, Russia, China, England, and Cuban, Hawaiian, which at least it's progress because it is a US state. At least you got my country right, finally. What else have people fucking called me? Mexican, for sure. And what else? Come on, I know I'm forgetting one. Oh, Spaniard, for sure. Which is not too wrong, for I am 25% Spaniard. Like, my father's father was from Spain. But we did not have any association in that department because that was incidental. What I shared with you guys about that brother who I don't know is pretty much what happened to my father. He was not associated with his family from that side. So I know absolutely nothing. So I guess I could credit a foreign country with that. But the reason I said earlier that most people in my family are like Americans is because this is the most recent exception to the rule when it comes to having a foreign influence. But outside of that, my mom's side, she's like seventh generation American, maybe fifth generation American from her maternal side, something like that. So it's really hard to track that. How do you establish the percentage of how foreign you are based on just one relative who happens to be foreign, but they did not influence you? So I guess that's where people's curiosity just comes from. Like, I guess somewhere you have been influenced, but what do you want me to say? If I do not have that influence, I cannot claim that. I cannot claim to be a Spaniard if it's only a very small percentage of who I am and what I am. And it also doesn't help that my dad and I are not exactly the tightest of people, and he did not grow up with his father. So I'm pretty sure that if I were to ask my dad questions, he wouldn't know. And I actually have done this, come to think of it, years ago. I asked him, hey, can you tell me more about Gramps? Like actual bloodline Gramps? And he's like, I'm so sorry, I just never met him. Like he met him, but never really like built up the connection. So that part of the family is like lost. Like we cannot associate ourselves with that. So it's really difficult to be like, oh yeah, we know about Spanish things. We don't. So yeah, it's a mess. It's a mess. Just don't do that to your kids. Don't do that with your kids. Zam, what's up with the Japanese flag on your wall? Oh, well, this is my brother's room, and I am here because he has better lighting and he has a desk, which I don't have. And my brother likes to collect flags of places he has visited. He was in the military and he was stationed in Osaka. He was either stationed there or he visited there, but I think it was where he was stationed at. And then he collected the flag. And of course, he needs to have the homeland's flag. And then that flag, I don't know what it is, but it has like a funny message. And then right in front of me is like another version of this flag. And it says, the beatings will continue until morale improves. So I guess it's a some kind of movie. Is that from like the Pirates movie? Pirates of the Caribbean? But I don't think that's their logo. But yeah. So yeah, this is not my room. So that's why there's like a freaking bicycle right there. I wouldn't have a freaking bicycle in my room. But he's currently away, so we kind of like threw his stuff back to his room. And I'm pretty much invading the airspace. But shit, I pay for this house. So like, I can be anywhere I want to. But yeah, he also, he hasn't traveled to Europe yet, but I guarantee you that as soon as he makes it out there, he's going to get more flags. And he was supposed to have gotten an assignment or something to go to Italy, but he never got to it. So that's why we don't have an Italian flag up here. But for sure, in the future, you guys can anticipate the Union Jack and the French flag, because that man dreams about going out there, and he will make it out there. It's just a matter of time. So yeah, those are the only flags that he has for right now. Oh, and he also has the South Korean flag. He never told me he went to South Korea, but he has, and it's just on the other side. Or maybe he had something to do out there, but not physically there. I'm not sure. I just know that he also has the South Korean flag. Me personally, I would only be able to rock the US flag because I've never been outside the country. But maybe eventually I will pick his, what is it, tradition, and collect flags of the places I go to. But then I don't think I would have enough room on my walls for that. But you can definitely count on me getting a Union Jack, because at some point I have to go out there. I got people I gotta visit. And the folks I would visit are actually in England. So I guess I have to get the white flag with the red cross on it, which, by the way, I never paid attention to European history. Like in school, I used to think that mess was fucking boring. And only 3 years ago, I learned that the English flag is actually the Union Jack, which is the United Kingdom flag, the UK flag. I used to think that the Union Jack was the flag of England. And then one time I was typing the word England on my phone, and it suggested the flag that has the white background and the red cross. And I'm like, Hold on. Did Apple make a mistake? So I Googled it, flag of England, and then it showed me that white one with the cross. And then as an association, the Union Jack. And I was like, oh, why don't we see the English flag more? Like, the times that I have seen flags being waved or something, it's never the white background with the red cross, it's the Union Jack. So that had me confused. Movies educated me wrong about England. Because every movie ever, that's the only flag I see, the Union Jack. Or maybe that's the only flag I ever noticed. So that's why I'm like, I need to stay in my own country because I know nothing about other countries. And I do know that the flag of Wales is like red and green with like some kind of animal in it that I cannot think what kind of animal it is. And then Scotland, I know that it's the blue background with like the white cross that's X shaped with like alternate interior angles and not perfectly perpendicular. What kind of angles does the cross, the X shape make? I already forgot. Obtuse. Some sides are obtuse and some sides are acute. But that has a name in math and I forgot. Clearly math was not my best subject. But yeah, I know nothing about Europe, but all I know is that I have friends out there, friends who are like family to me, and I have to go visit them. And yeah, visit them. I have no business living over there. And yeah, you guys, I thought that I would share those details with you so that you know just how uneducated I am, but confident. Then you could easily pass off either as Indian, Latina, or Arab. I get that so much. And I guess I can see why. I have been actively looking up pictures. And I'm like, oh, I guess these people just have my skin tone and whatnot. But I promise you, there is not a single drop of blood from those continents in me. And India, never. No association. I love their food, but no association whatsoever. There's no one in the family. No one in the family has ever heard that we may have Indian ties. And Arabic, same thing. Nothing. Nobody knows the language. Nobody knows the culture. Nobody has a relative. Nothing. Mediterranean influence for sure. We do have it. Because from my mother's side, there's some Italian. My mother's side is Italian, French, native, and some black. Very, very, very like limited though. And my father's side is Spaniard with a lot of native and some black. But again, with the black side, we really haven't been able to explore it. Like, where does the black side come from? And then native, just Southeast US, all those groups. But if I tell you which groups possibly, then I'm going to be giving away too much personal information about myself. And you guys don't need to be knowing that. I'm not sure how long I'll be able to stay in the shadows about my location, but I'm going to try. I have a friend from India who bears a striking similarity to you. I think what makes my appearance stand out some is that I actually have, take what I'm going to say very lightly, okay? But I think it's my fucking eyebrows. I actually have eyebrows. Don't mind this. This was an accident when I was 5 years old. But most people, not even my mom, has eyebrows. My eyebrows come 100% from my father. All I do is trim them some so that they are not as bushy I don't have a unibrow, but I do have like random hairs that stick up around here. And then here and here. I have really thick bushy eyebrows. So all I do is shape them to a more feminine, pleasing shape for me. And yeah, most people I know, their eyebrows are either drawn in or they just don't have them. Or if they have them, they can be epic, but it's usually on guys, not on girls. The one guy I know who has epic eyebrows, um, I'm like, whoa, you got some epic eyebrows. But I've never seen epic eyebrows on a girl, except some celebrities who are known for their eyebrows. And hold on, let me see who wants me. Okay. But yeah, I do not completely see why I would be associated with being Indian when Indian folks, when I meet them in person, they're actually a few shades darker than me. And my body type is way different from what I'm accustomed to seeing. I feel like Indian women are, their body shape is just different. And for me, I'm shaped like a spaghetti compared to them, whereas they have more of a figure. I'm not sure how to describe it. I would have to really creepily observe an Indian lady, maybe with different attire. But what I have seen is that their body shape is different from mine. But I just do not see how I resemble them unless I look for resemblance. Like facially, I only see my eyebrows doing me some favors there. But skin tone, I think I'm lighter. Body shape, I'm definitely different. Height, I when it comes to height, I'm either incredibly taller, more tall than Indian women, or I am severely shorter than their men. But the ones that I know off the top of my head, only one of them was super tall. But most of them, I am taller than the average Indian person. Unless it happens to be incidental that the people I know happen to be shorter than me. But these are full blown adults, alright? So I'm not sure. But for me, I see exactly what I am, which is the mix of all these people I have mentioned. And the only thing that killed me was the fact that I did not inherit green eyes. Most of my family on my mother's side, they have green eyes, green or blue, but green came up with more frequency. And my mom's eyes are actually more hazel, but they're hazel that favor green. And I'm thinking, Mom, what the fuck happened to me? Like, why did I end up with boring brown eyes? So one time I just teased her and I just told her about it. I'm like, you hooked up with the wrong person. But I always wonder, had my mother just chosen anybody else in the world except my dad, what the hell would I have looked like? But I'm grateful because at the end of the day, I was born with eyebrows and she wasn't. That lady has no eyebrows. Um, let's see. You don't look Chinese or Russian. Whoever said that is nuts. Yes! Anybody who says that I'm anything but American to me is nuts. What does American look like? You're only associating the European heritage of America. But America was much more than that before a European settlement. You know? But when I heard the Russian one, I'm like, motherfucker, I am not even pale. All of the Russians who I have personally met, they are pretty pale. And if not pale, definitely a few shades lighter than me. And they have colored eyes, either green or blue, but mostly blue. And they are tall, except for one lady I used to work with who's from Russia. She was shorter than me. But maybe she became shorter than me because she's an older lady. And apparently, you do lose some height as you get older. And when I heard Chinese, I'm like, you fucking troll, fuck off. And this was, again, those examples I named are actually from actual people I have had face to face conversation with. The rest come from the comment section, and the comment section has had about similar guesses, but some of them I just know are fucking trolls. But this person, in person, said to me, "Are you from China?" No! Where do you get that? Not even my hair type. Not even my face shape. My body type. I am not petite. I am next to the average, like, Eastern, like, Orient body type. I don't want to say just Asian because there's more to Asia than just China. But I guess I can't say that because China isn't Asian. But I don't like to say Asian to encompass all of that because, again, there's more to Asia than just those. And it would be incorrect for me to say that all Asians are petite, for instance. They tend to be smaller framed people because their food discipline is different. Their geography is different. They are built differently, especially for their weather. Even their eye shape is different because of the weather as well. But I fit none of those descriptions. Not even my nose, not even my lips, my eyes, my bone structure is completely different from what Asians tend to stay together. Like, that region, they tend to look pretty similar. Like that East Coast region where all of those countries are at, like Japan and Taiwan and China and what's that other place? South Korea, North Korea. You can tell that they are similar. They're not the same. That would be very, like, ignorant and disrespectful and just, it's not correct. Like, they're all Asians geographically, but we cannot say that they're all the same. But you can see at plain sight what the similarities are. But you're trying to associate me with them. Why? Why? And that is how I know that this person was not even trying to think about an intelligent guess. This person probably thinks foreign. Oh, I associate foreign with Asian. All right. And Asians tend to be the primary discussion of foreigners. Unless you're on the south border, and then maybe that discussion may be more Latino influenced. Like, oh yeah, there's people trying to cross the border. Geographically, we happen to share that. But I need some water because I have talked too much. Oh goodness. Okay, so if you're south, maybe the discussion will be that the foreigners are Hispanic or something. Okay, I'm better now. No, I'm not. I nearly lost my voice. Now I need to wait for the water to lubricate my voice. But anyway, but yeah, that would have been a more intelligent guess because these people are actually part of our history. Because Mexico used to be in the United States territory. And then we fought some wars that we happened to win. And then the Mexican territory just shrunk. But I would rather you try to guess that I'm Mexican more than that. You know, like that would have been a more educated guess. Even though in my family there is no trace, no evidence of Mexicans at all. So that would have been a much better guess because we actually can have the same skin tone, very similar skin tone. I tend to be much taller than the average Mexican. Like everybody in school I went to especially girls who were Mexican. I was way taller than them. And I'm an average girl, I think. I'm only like 5'7". So that's not incredibly tall, but for a girl, it seems to be pretty tall. I am taller than pretty much every girl in my family as well. But I'm only taller than them by a few inches, like maybe 1, 2 inches. And then all of the men in my family are freaking control towers. Like my brother is like 5'9". I think my dad is 5'10". My grandfather was like my maternal grandfather. I think he was 6 foot tall. I don't remember. But yeah, he was tall, really tall. And then my grandma was really, really short. I was shocked at how short my grandma is. I'm like, whoa, when I was little, the last time I saw you, you seemed huge. Not too gigantic, like compared to my grandfather. You're short, but I used to think you were huge. But now she goes up to like my neck. And my mom is shorter than me as well. And I'm thinking, what happened? But yeah, that person was not trying to have an educated guess when they said that. So I just looked at it as this is trying to be a troll. Fuck off. It's a joke from the military. That is, the beatings will continue till morale improves. It seemed like it because the bottom line that says morale, usually when I hear the word morale, it is used at work to describe how workers are feeling. Like, oh, the worker morale is so low. But primarily, the only time I would hear the word morale being used was the soldiers' morale was high after the victory. Yada yada. So yeah, I figured that it must be a military thing. But I am so disconnected from like the TV culture as well, like movies, that I'm like, maybe that's from a really obvious movie and I'm just missing it. But I always felt it might be more military. And I really haven't had the time to sit down with my brother and be like, hey, what does this mean? What is this? What is that? Where did this come from? But yeah. But yeah, well, I guess my brother is military verified now. Talking thick eyebrows, do you have hairy arms? I find it so appealing. Well, lucky for you, I do have hairy arms. Very hairy arms. I have shaved them 2 times in my life. When I was in middle school, it was the first time, and the second time when I was in high school. Dude, it was an otherworldly experience. I know what it's like to have shaved legs, but arms, you have no idea just how much you come into contact with the surface. Wearing long sleeves was awful. I mean, it just tickled the whole time. And I will never forget one summer, the other time I shaved my arms. I was sitting in my mom's car. And then, you rest your back against the seat. And I was sitting like this, like my arms were touching the back. And I could feel the freaking texture of the car covering. It was so uncomfortable. I felt like there were needles there. And I said, I will never, ever touch my arm hairs again. They must stay. They protect me from so much. Why did I do such a thing? I was thinking, well, I like how soft my legs feel when they're shaved, so maybe my arms are going to feel just as amazing. It was a fucking terrible idea. Terrible idea. I hated it. But when it comes to this, people used to say that I should shave and that I have too much hair. And I was like, no, all of my family is like that. Why do you care? How does it affect you? Oh, well, it's just for beauty purposes. I don't care. I never understood how important hair is as another layer of protection for your skin and I guess other things until I shaved my arms. I have never done it since. And hair is something that we just take for granted. We just look at it and we think that it's ugly or something. I cannot imagine having a back that's like super, super, super hairy. Like my brother hates that he has curly hair on his back. And he just needs to wax that shit and whatnot. But I'm like, it doesn't bother me when I see that people have hair. You are a fucking human. You are supposed to have some kind of coat, some kind of protection. And we created these things to protect us from the elements even more, since our body was lacking while we were like expanding our horizons, you know? Respect your body. Everything that's present in your body has a purpose. And you don't know the purpose until you alter it and you suffer as a result. But my legs, I will continue to shave them only because I am used to feeling them shaved, and my hair grows so long and thick that when I am walking, I can feel the breeze hitting my hairs, and my hair moves like a curtain on my legs. So I'm pretty sure that if I were to go a whole year without shaving, I could grow hair on my legs. Not as thick as a guy, but definitely with that volume. And I don't need that. And I personally feel happier seeing my legs shaved as opposed to having dark hair. This hair, it's here, and you have been in my channel for a while and you really hadn't noticed that I had hair in my arms because it's not thick. It's there, definitely a lot of volume, but it's not thick. It's nothing like this. But the hair on my legs is thicker, but not thick to the degree that a man would have it, you know? It's just volume. There's a lot of volume to it. And since I have been shaving a lot, I don't know if scientifically this is true, but I have observed that ever since I shaved, the direction of my hair growth has changed. Probably because shaving is like landscaping your hair. So maybe I have done some cuts that have shifted the way my hair grows. Because now, when I'm shaving my legs, I have to go like this. Then I have to go like this. And then I have to go like this. So that it feels smooth. Otherwise, it'll feel like a stubble. Like you guys get your amazing stubbles on your face. Well, you can get stubbles on your freaking legs. And it feels awful. I hate it when I miss a spot. I have to go back into the shower and fix that fucking spot. Or else that is all I can think about for the rest of my day. I'm perfect. I don't make mistakes. And somehow I missed that spot while shaving. I hate it. Oh, man. I couldn't agree more. All right, let's see. I'm going to sort of breeze through some more comments, and if anything stands out, I'm going to share it. Oh, someone commented on my "Why do some women repeat themselves?" question mark video. This person called Washington Consultants 1 month ago said to me, "Option 1, the next time she repeats, send her the answer by text. If she asks again, refer her to the texts. Option 2 is answer the question with her exact question. For example, you wanted to know why I was late? Is you asking, and then she goes, yes. And then you go, I was late because of traffic. I'm sorry, but there was a car accident. And then always say sorry, even if you don't mean it. The sorry works about 90% of the time. And it seems to be true. And now that's the reason why we have many people in this society who have apologitis. I know like a couple of people who everything they ever say is, sorry, I just needed to look at this. I have this guy at work. Well, Actually, he happened to leave about 2 weeks ago. But I kept telling him, dude, don't be sorry for existing. You don't need to be sorry if you're not hurting the person. Have you hurt the person? Have you offended the person? Have you insulted the person? Have you actively tried to harm this person, either emotionally, physically, or mentally? No? Don't apologize! Did you bump into this person by accident? No! You don't need to apologize. But he was the kind of person who, let's say he asks the customer for their phone number. And then the customer goes, I'm sorry, what was that? Oh, I'm sorry, I was just asking for your phone number. You don't need to be sorry. Just repeat yourself. Ma'am, what's your phone number? I'm sorry, say what? What's your phone number? And the customer proceeds to give me her phone number. Did I have to say sorry? No! So there was another friend who has gotten so much better about his apologitis. He actually apologizes when it's more appropriate now. Like, say, if I ask you for a favor and you do not complete the favor as requested, you go, oh, I'm sorry. I don't know how that happened. I'm sorry. I missed it. I'm sorry. I'm not sure why I made the mistake. That sorry is appropriate. But to apologize every 3 words or every 2 sentences, don't apologize for existing. And yeah, so I want to say the being sorry is probably people's way of curbing their nerves, I guess, just keeping them under control or something. But it's getting out of control. Apologitis. That's what I call it. Apologitis. And then this same person on a separate comment, they said, women, stop doing that. I broke up with my last girlfriend because of that. 2 times is enough. 3 or more, no. Yeah, because it feels disingenuous by then. Let's see. Jennifer Lacrone posted a pretty lengthy comment in my Living Without a Family video. So I'm going to read that and probably one more, and after that I gotta bail. She says, thank you so much for sharing this. I have been in the same boat for as long as I can remember and never realized there were more people battling the same thing. That's exactly how I feel. My heart hurts for you too, because I honestly feel like it is crippling. That it's this crippling feeling that you cannot really even explain. For myself, it's really hindered my relationships. I push everyone away because I'm lacking the foundation of having a family system. I feel like it teaches you a lot, and I have a serious disconnect in my head when it comes to relationships. I agree with the previous posts. The holidays are absolutely the hardest for me. I think the hardest part is seeing everyone posting pictures of their family and knowing that I am not really special or important to anyone in the way that you described. I always think of that one song when I start to feel down about it, Somewhere I Belong. That's by Linkin Park. That describes the feeling perfectly, lacking that sense of belonging somewhere and having a home. And something as simple as knowing who to put in those blanks for emergency contact. Everyone keeps using the emergency contact example. At least I have been privileged to still be able to count on my mother, so she's always my emergency contact in the same manner that I am her emergency contact. But but yeah, it's really sad the state that some of us are living in. We're like hurting because we don't have a family structure and whatnot. And at least compared to 2016 when I posted that video, the biggest difference is that back then I used to not have anything going on for me. I had no ambition and I was still clinging to the tragedy of my past. I was still letting daddy issues be my daddy issues, and that's something that has never been addressed or resolved. And in a sense, I feel like I'm in a stage in my life where I don't want to, I'm not willing to spend time doing that, like sitting my father down and being like, motherfucker, you failed me, and this is what happened to me while you are absent, and I hope it eats away at your conscience. But at the same time, getting that kind of revenge doesn't do anything for me. And I would like for him to hear from me what the true consequences of his absence were. But I don't feel like I would be satisfied knowing that I will emotionally destroy my father. If he has any feelings with him, I'm sure he is, because he has shown some sensitivity about it before. Um, what do I gain with tormenting my daddy with things like that? He's an old man now. I'm a grown woman now. I missed out on having his support and whatnot. I have to learn to live with it and move the fuck on. And now repair myself in the present. I'm someone who's up to challenges. Bring it. So now the good thing about not having had the support is that my kind of spirit happens to be the spirit of a warrior. Oh, I have these challenges. I don't want you to even feel or see or sense that I struggle and I have challenges. I will conquer it with my confidence. That's why I was a great student. That's why I wake up super early in the morning and go to work every single day, except on the days that I'm designated to be off. I am athletic. I kill myself at the gym for 2 hours, and I'm self sufficient. Like, I get all of my affairs done. Like, I'm the one who goes to get my taxes done by myself. I used to need to go with my mom because I was intimidated. But the first time, second time we did it together, after that, I was flying by myself. And speaking of flying by myself, I literally travel by myself. On the rarest occasions when I do need to hop on a plane and go somewhere, um, I go by myself. It's not like I need, hey mom, can you come with me to the state? I got stuff to do over there. I don't want to be alone. Hell no. What am I so afraid of? There's nothing to be afraid of. But the holidays used to really mess me up mentally. Like, I'll never forget the holidays of 2015. They were god awful. I just felt a lot of pressure from work because I work retail, so you are like the face of the public, or the face for the public as a representative of a company. And I also work customer service, so I'm not doing myself any favors. But yeah, you have to pretend that you're happy, and the holidays are this time of giving and gifts, and nobody talks about the debt that people get in that they don't plan for. Like, probably 80% of people do not save up for Christmas. And then you give people gifts. If you get them what they want, you make them happy, short term happy, because let's say that Let's say that someone got me an iPhone for Christmas. You guys know that iPhones are really fucking expensive. So let's say that my mother would have gotten me the iPhone, not the Plus. Like, I like to use the Plus version of these phones. Oh, mom, you got me a phone, but it's not the Plus. That's what a spoiled kid says. What did I do to earn this? My mother just sacrificed like $800 for me, or maybe $700, whatever the cost is. And I'm like fighting her because she got me the wrong kind. The sole fact that she got me a phone that's this expensive is something I'm massively grateful for, especially if I did nothing to earn it but be her child, that she happens to love very deeply to be doing this stuff. Or maybe I tell her, hey mom, I want an iPhone, and then she gives me a fucking Android. Mom, what the hell? I told you iPhone, not Android. I really hope that she snaps at me if I ever were to say that, which I would never say that. I used to say that when I was a kid, but if I were to say that now, I hope that she snaps at me and she goes like, oh, if you don't want the phone, I'll take it back. And then I keep nothing. That's the way you teach people. Oh, if you don't like what I can give you, you get nothing. But unfortunately, most parents I know, they're like, oh, I'm so sorry, my child. I'm not good with computers. To me, they all look the same. And then they immediately try to make it right for the kid and be like, oh, this one costs an extra $200. Sure, I'll get it. It's my child. Like, just be kind, especially to your parents. If your parents are really dedicated and devoted to you, and they mess up one of your gifts, you need to be fucking kind to those people. Because you, until you get a job, you do not know what your parents go through to get this stuff. It sucks to wake up at a time in the day you don't want to wake up. It sucks to go to work when you don't feel well, but you have to work because you got responsibilities known as bills, and if you don't comply, your credit gets ruined, and you may end up homeless, and you don't eat. Life really gets messed up, and you just don't see that because life, you're experiencing it from the point of view of stuff gets done, stuff is getting done, stuff is being fulfilled, but you don't know just how much goes into that. Your parents probably are old school shoppers. They go and do shopping during the hectic times, maybe to save a few bucks too if they're not rich, and they have to stand in the line, they have to withstand the crowds while you're at home chilling, or maybe in school chilling for the most part as well. Or maybe you have a job, but it's not a job that's seriously inclined in a career because you don't have a degree, you have nothing. You don't have anything that's real responsibilities. You don't have a management position, so you're just chilling. Just be kind to your fucking parents. Especially if they're not in a position to give anything to you at any time of the day. If you have to wait until Christmas for your parents to get you gifts, you're not in a good situation. And even if your parents could give you anything any time of the year and they wait for Christmas, is to establish some discipline. Discipline is important. But I remember the trend of what people got for Christmas gifts, and some people were angry that someone wanted the Apple Watch and they got another kind of watch, or maybe it was one of those fitness watches or something. I told my mom I wanted the Apple Watch and she gave me or other people turned it into a joke. They took a real physical apple, the fruit, and they put a watch next to it and then put it in a box and gave it to the kid. You cannot be angry at your parent not getting you the Apple Watch. That shit is overpriced. You're not paying for it. You don't know what your parents' finances are like. If you knew it, you would not be aspiring for that mess. My mom, if I asked her for something fancy, she would plan for that mess for as long as she could. And if she couldn't get it for me when I expected it, she was like, hey, that's a pretty expensive item. I will not have it for you for Christmas, but around springtime, maybe early in the summer, so that when you get off school, you can enjoy it. You can expect it. I haven't forgotten. It's just out of my reach right now. That lady would sit me down and explain to me why I was not getting something. She made it possible, just not when I wanted it. And because my mother never broke those promises she made to me, I learned to trust her. And I also learned to value her sacrifices and to not impose pressure on her. She intends to please me with the gift that I have requested. It's just that she cannot fulfill it immediately. And I guess that's why mentally I'm not spoiled. Like, there's some people who really make a big deal out of not getting something exactly when they wanted it and how they wanted it. And I'm like, who are you? All you are is a consumer. A piece of shit. When was the last time you got something for your parents that was meaningful? Probably never. Or, like in relationships, usually this comes from the girl. Why does my boyfriend not get me any gifts? Or buy me this, buy me this, buy me that, buy me the other. When was the last time you gave something to him outside of holidays? Something meaningful too, because maybe you were trying to like cheapen him out or something, you know? And then someone else said about that same comment or same video, living without a family. Thank you for sharing this, means a lot. And then the other comments beyond that are from Christmas. There are some still held for review. I guess I'll have to review them and then possibly come up with another follow-up video to this, because the best comments are under held for review. and I was reading the ones that had been published already. So I'm gonna keep those on hold and then create a separate stream at some other time and catch up with what's under held for review. It's amazing. Most people end up in held for review, and then when the comments go to held for review, it doesn't tell me that comments have been posted. It doesn't email me. It doesn't notify me. It does nothing. So that's how I end up missing the comments. And now I have a backlog of weeks upon weeks upon weeks upon weeks upon weeks, months of comments held for review. And those are the better comments. They're extensive. They're from the people who I see here regularly. Yeah. Bummer. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for tuning in to this eternal stream. How long have I been here for? 145 minutes? That's like, what, 2 hours and 20 minutes? I don't know. I cannot count, even though I know there's 60 minutes to an hour. Yeah, I think it's 2 hours and 20 minutes, 25 minutes. I remember I started at around, since I live in the East Coast, I started at around late 9 or something, maybe closer to 10. And now it's like about to be 12, so yeah. All right, guys. I'll see you soon.